Competing against Wilfred Benitez, who was the youngest champion ever, 17 years old, world champion. He was one of my most difficult fights, along with the championship being on the line. I never missed so many punches in my life. I threw punches left and right. I had pretty fast hands, and out of maybe 12 punches, maybe 3 will land. Elusive. He was never a stationary target. He had that natural God-blessed talent that he could feel a punch and slip.
On November 30th, 1979, at Caesar's Palace, two of boxing's brightest young stars, Sugar Ray Leonard and Wilfred Benitez, stepped in the ring in a battle that would showcase the pure essence of skill. Leonard, the charismatic cover boy of American boxing, brought his blend of blazing speed, pinpoint accuracy and fluid footwork to the ring. Opposite him stood Benitez, a defensive genius and counterpunching maestro from Puerto Rico, who, at just 21 years old, had already achieved almost mythic status. Benitez, already a 2-division world champion, had claimed the WBC welterweight title earlier that same year, showcasing his technical brilliance and remarkable ring IQ. Meanwhile, Leonard, undefeated at 27-0, was not just another rising star. He was the former Olympic gold medalist and was already very much a star, but his meteoric rise was fueled by raw talent and crossover appeal. And as these two met in the centre of the ring before the fight, the tension couldn't be greater. The intensity of their stare-down was not just for show. It was a clash of wills between two future Hall of Famers. Leonard's unwavering confidence met Benitez's icy composure, signalling this was no ordinary fight. Today I'm going to break down this legendary matchup to show how exactly Leonard overcame one of the sport's greatest defensive minds. And I'll dive into the strategies, techniques and key moments of both fighters to show how both fighters went for victory. This wasn't just about the welterweight title. This was a battle for the right to be called the best of their generation at the time, making this one of the most iconic, high-stakes showdowns in boxing history. So on that note, let's get right into it. In the first round, Leonard immediately looked to establish his sharp jab against Benitez, taking full advantage of his blistering speed. He started by throwing up jabs to disrupt Benitez's timing, while also firing it out of his line of vision. Leonard then followed up with powerful right hands, before throwing a follow-up left hook, catching Benitez off guard.
Keeping it, Benitez's face.
This punch seemed to wake up Benitez, prompting him to rely on his waist movement onto his back foot to avoid further follow-up shots from Leonard. But it was Ray who was clearly the sharper of the two, mixing up his attacks fluidly, while Benitez was still searching for a way to counter Leonard's speed, trying to use feints and countering to the body. Ray's jab was not only precise early, but was also backed by his impressive defensive skills. His upper body and waist movement allowed him to evade Benitez's attempts to attack.
When you have Benitez against the ropes, that's the time to be wary of.
While he easily neutralised Benitez's jab by catching it with precision with the backhand. One of Leonard's signature weapons, his spear jab, was already making an appearance as well. By stepping to his left, slipping Benitez's jab, and dipping on the inside, Leonard launched the jab upward in a vertical motion with tremendous power, an effective and tactical move that can cause serious damage on your opponent. Not to mention how it can split through an opponent's high guard defense.
Times dazzling, but Benitez beginning to throw his own left in this round.
In these early rounds, Benitez looked somewhat puzzled by Leonard's speed. He struggled to time Leonard with his own jab, and was overreaching with his combinations, and was getting countered in return. Leonard's jab landed repeatedly, and just before the end of the round, Leonard timed him with a beautiful shotgun jab.
Against the ropes, right there, a quick left, astonishingly, and Benitez unhappy with himself. It came from nowhere.
Leonard perfectly catched Benitez by stepping in with his back foot first, while timing it perfectly as Benitez was moving to his left, leaving him completely off balance and putting him on the canvas. Leonard couldn't have asked for a better start. After finding success with his jab in the early rounds, Leonard continued to rely on it in the fourth. Benitez, however, began adjusting by creating more space between him and Leonard, circling to his left while mixing in lead hand feints with level changes, and these tactics were designed to create hesitation and keeping Leonard guessing. In round 5, Benitez was struggling with his range, often overreaching in his attempts to land punches.
Benitez has been studying Leonard.
Leonard took advantage of this, sliding back quickly and countering with a right uppercut followed by a left hook, before re-establishing control behind his jab. But as the round progressed, Leonard's rhythm became somewhat predictable. Even with his speed advantage, Benitez began timing Leonard with his own jab, cleverly baiting him into throwing it, occasionally landing with his own in return. By round 6, Benitez had finally found his rhythm and range. He began by doubling up his jab, effectively countering Leonard's attempts to dictate the pace, while his defensive movement of slipping and rolling was now on point, making Ray miss more than we have ever seen.
It's a very cautious Ray Leonard, as you can see. He's having trouble getting past Benitez's left, Leonard is.
However, luck didn't seem to be in Wilford's corner this night, as an unfortunate clash of heads resulted in a nasty cut on his forehead. Despite the setback, this cut seemed to fuel Benitez's sense of urgency, giving him the motivation to dig deeper to win this fight.
There is also blood from Benitez's mouth. The inside of his mouth. The blood flowing from the forehead. Now Benitez knows he may be in trouble and he wants to get at Leonard. But as the round ends, Leonard counted. Look at that. Odd, isn't it?
With Benitez now having a bullseye on his forehead and a clear target, Leonard seemingly focused on headhunting, perhaps hoping to worsen the injury and force Benitez's corner into a difficult decision. However, Benitez, now taking more risks himself, and began to capitalise on Leonard's low lead hand guard, countering with his right hand while using a level change to create this opening. In round 8, Leonard appeared to be feeling the pace of the fight. His output had slowed, and he wasn't throwing with the same frequency or intensity as earlier. Meanwhile, Benitez stayed busy, constantly feinting and keeping his head off the centre line, making it difficult for Leonard to target the cut. Benitez used these opportunities to slip inside and go for Leonard's body, pounding away effectively.
Jacobs is screaming at Leonard to pick up the pace now.
The momentum seemed to be shifting at this point, and despite the knockdown and the cut on Benitez, Ray really needed to pick up the pace of the fight as he was entering the final stretch. Benitez now was right in his rhythm, showcasing his beautiful defense, blocking and catching shots, while continuing to counter over the top of Leonard's lead hand with his right.
Sharp left by Leonard against Benitez. It was in the third round. You've got to be careful. You can leave yourself too open. When the jab, especially when the jab.
In round 9, realising that Benitez's head was proving to be an elusive target, one of Leonard's trainers in the corner, Dave Jacobs, called for Leonard to attack the body. Benitez wasn't active on the inside, often smothering his own work or waiting to counter. For Leonard, instead of following up the right hand or left hook to the head, he shifted his focus to hard thudding punches on Benitez's body. This change in strategy forced Benitez into a defensive mode, as he tried to use his jab to keep Leonard off him. Because of the effective bodywork though, Leonard was able to land a beautiful jab cross combination upstairs.
He wrote about Arthur Ashe and Clark Gravener in tennis. A good right by Leonard, and suddenly Benitez was hurt. Tried to laugh it off, but he was hurt. So that came from nowhere. Well, the point I was making is Benitez fights.
Temporarily blinding Benitez with a jab before landing the right hand. This was the point in the fight that made Benitez unsure where Ray's follow-up punches would target next. It even left him smiling after the punch landed and in the corner in acknowledgement of Leonard's clever setup.
Wait. corner is doing an effective job instilling that flow of blood between rounds from Benitez's forehead.
In round 10, Benitez turned the tables on Leonard by landing his own spear jab at one point, catching Ray completely off guard. It was a sharp moment for Benitez.
There was Benitez scoring well with his left, and again.
But Leonard remained focused on his strategy of attacking the body. Benitez meanwhile bided his time, waiting for the opportunities to land his jab and counter when Leonard made a mistake.
As you see Benitez's counterpunch, you can't stay in front of him. You've got to be a moving target. Otherwise, Benitez will kill you with that counterpunch and garnered an experience that you can't measure. Now Ray having a little fun, threatening the bolo punch.
In round 11, the dynamic shifted further, with Leonard now boxing off the back foot, taking on the role of the counterpuncher. He was now waiting for Benitez to come forward, punishing any mistakes, continuing to target the body when he engaged on the inside.
That was hurt. I mean, Benitez was hurt. He continues to laugh it off and do it quick.
At one point, Leonard even seemed to hurt Benitez with a solid body shot before going in for the hunt. Yet despite the punishment, Benitez still had enough left in the tank to fight back, preventing Leonard from fully committing to his signature punch flurries.
Ray seeking to measure him, still being careful, delivered a right and quickly covered up. And Benitez staggered a bit, hurt a bit again. And Dave Jacobs up to his feet, the mouthpiece out. Leonard trying to polish Benitez off. And there is pain in Benitez's eyes. You can tell when a fighter is hurt. When you've been on the beat a lot of years and you're properly positioned at ringside, you can tell. And there is pain in Benitez's face. And Leonard trying to put him away. That was Dave Jacobs.
By the 12th round, the momentum had swung clearly in Leonard's favour. The relentless bodywork had begun to wear Benitez down, as Ray was now landing precise inside slip left hooks to the midsection.
Oh, to the stomach. And that. Oh, to the stomach. And that is hurting Benitez. Again, that left to the belly.
But just when it seemed Leonard's attacks might be taking their toll, Benitez's counterpunching skills reminded everyone that he was still a threat and capable of turning the tide at any moment.
A right by Benitez, his own right lead that caught Leonard. Only to drain the
As we entered the championship rounds, Sugar Ray Leonard found himself in uncharted territory. Unlike his younger counterpart Benitez, who had already gone the full 15 rounds 5 times, Leonard had never been this deep into a fight. The question now was, did Leonard have the grit to match his skill? Or was he just merely a cover boy without the heart to push through the final rounds? In round 13, the pace noticeably slowed down, but in a fight of this caliber, a moment of brilliance from either fighter could shift everything. Leonard still had his speed, and he was waiting for Benitez to move into range.
That was a dangerous tactic by Benitez.
Benitez threw out his jab, resulting in Leonard timing it perfectly, throwing a quick jab followed by a chopping right hand, going right through the centre line, showing him how dangerous he still was. Wilfred, though, true to his nature, reverted to what he did best, playing possum, staying patient, and waiting for the right moment to counter.
Trying to measure, round 13. Benitez beckoning him on. But now this is what, well, Leonard has to be careful because it's when he's against the ropes that Benitez can be devastating, as he proved against Palomino in the 7th round of that bout last January 14th. Leonard up with the left and scoring heavily. Come over that with the right. Coming to the end of the round. That was a good left there.
By round 14, both fighters had visibly slowed, but the intensity of champions remained. Benitez focused on countering and landing his jab, while Leonard continued to hammer away at the body, staying consistent with his strategy.
Telling you again, there has been one knockdown. That was a good left, gotten in by Benitez. Excellent, sharp, caught Leonard. And there is a desperation now in Benitez, trying to get through, trying to score. But Wilfred, the brilliant boxer, that hurt Leonard. He hurt him with a shot to the belly. That's what I mean by a great professional.
This fight had an ebb and flow feel throughout, with moments of brilliance from both men across the 15 rounds. It was clear that this would be a close one, and with that in mind, Ray Leonard's trainer Angelo Dundee urged him to fight like an animal in the final round. Leonard started to let his hands go, targeting the body with relentless aggression.
On his toes, trying to show movement, but Benitez caught with a left. And immediately the flow of blood again from the forehead, and Leonard starts to open up.
While Benitez, ever the defensive master, continued ducking and rolling, making Leonard miss. Despite this, Benitez appeared the stronger fighter at times, throwing punches in a Dempsey roll style fashion, taking the fight directly to Leonard. But Ray, determined to show his heart, fired back his own flurries to his body. Both men trading, rolling, slipping after each punch. As the tension mounted, who would land the decisive blow?
We're down to the minute 20 area remaining in the fight. Two great young professional fighters, masters of their craft. Look at them going at it, standing toe to toe. Leonard trying to chop Benitez down. Benitez's face frowning in pain. Yes, he can go 15 rounds. He sure has proved it today, unless by a miracle he gets knocked out. And yes, Benitez can go 15 rounds. And there's got to be a winner, there's got to be a loser. But these young men are fighters. There, he got him down again.
After taking a heavy uppercut and just barely missing with his right hand, he transferred his weight onto the front foot, whipped back with his hip and whole body with a lightning fast left hook. The punch packed with speed and power and landing flush. Too fast for even Benitez to evade. With just 30 seconds left, Benitez looked like he had little left to give.
It doesn't dilute the courage he's shown or the skills he's shown. Maybe now they won't call Sugar Ray Leonard a hype. There it is. He stopped the fight. He stopped the fight, and there is a new world welterweight champion. He comes from Palmer Park, Maryland. His name is Ray Leonard.
Leonard seized the moment, landing a clean right hand followed by another left hook. Sensing the end, the referee stepped in and stopped the fight. A decision that remains debatable given the little time left on the clock, but when you consider how dangerous Leonard is in these situations, and being one of the sport's deadliest finishers, it was quite possibly the right decision. This undoubtedly was one of Leonard's hardest ever fought battles in his career, with Benitez pushing him to the brink, both with skill and will. After the fight, Leonard reflected, "It was as though I was looking into a mirror. No one can make me miss punches like that."
That fight was so tough that I went to the hospital late that night because of dehydration. Because I beat him. I beat Benitez with talent, yes, but more so with my heart. I never gave up. I never stopped throwing punches. Even when I'm exhausted, if I get you hurt, I could come on strong like it was just the first round. We're stronger than we really are, but you have to really dig deep. And it hurts. It does hurt. But to win is what it's all about, to win.
In the end, this fight between Sugar Ray Leonard and Wilfred Benitez was much more than just a contest for the welterweight title. It was a battle between two boxing prodigies who pushed each other to their absolute limits, showcasing not only their incredible skills, but also their heart and determination. Leonard, often seen as the cover boy of boxing at the time, proved in this fight that he was more than just a flash. He had grit and resilience, and the skill to overcome one of the most skilled defensive fighters the sport has ever seen. Benitez, with his defensive genius, reminded the world why he was a champion at such a young age, and he made Leonard miss more than anyone ever had. Even in defeat, his brilliance was undeniable, and it's no wonder we call him the Fifth King. But perhaps the greatest lesson from this fight is what it takes to be a champion. It's not just about the speed, power, and even technique. It's about digging deep when the odds are stacked against you, when your body is tired and your opponent is just as determined. Champions are made in those moments when everything seems to be slipping away, but you find a way to rise above. Sugar Ray Leonard rose to the occasion, cementing his legacy as one of the greatest to ever step into the ring. In doing so, both Leonard and Benitez gave us a fight that will forever be remembered as a display of skill versus skill, but also heart versus heart, giving us the true essence of boxing. This has been Jamie from Boxing Life. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this fight. If you want more like this, why not check out my analysis on one of these two classic fights? As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.